Joining us now is Republican Congressman Nick LaLota of New York. His district borders George Santos's district on Long Island, and he is a member also of the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees. Attended his first State of the Union address last night. Let's start with George Santos, though. Is Mitt Romney right?
Mitt Romney is right on this one. I've been clear on George Santos for months now. He does not deserve to be in Congress. He's lied time and again. He's shown no remorse. He's broken the public trust. This is an institution that should be filled with folks who have strong ideologies, who want to fight for those ideologies, who want to get results. He's all about the rhetoric. He's all about the drama. And he's fallen far below the standard that we all should hold ourselves to.
Romney was saying basically he shouldn't have been standing so close to the aisle that the president walks down, cabinet members, Supreme Court justices. He should have just quietly sat at the back of the room. Do you agree?
He's a sociopath, George Santos. He looks for that attention. Even the negative attention drives him. It's become an embarrassment and a distraction to the Republicans in the House. We want to focus on our commitment to America. We want to talk about putting our economy back on the right track, securing our border, holding the administration accountable. These are the things that Republicans campaigned on. These are the things that Republicans want to govern on. And every time I have to come to something like this and talk about George Santos, I can't talk about what Republicans ought to be doing instead.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what did happen last night, because there was quite a back and forth between the president and Republicans. I know this is your first State of the Union, but you've watched them before. You've seen normally they're pretty state affairs. Do you think this is the new normal of what State of the Unions look like?
Well, the reaction was pretty strong from the conference when the president chose to spread something that is totally untrue. He's been saying, like others have said, falsely, that Republicans would make some sort of move on Social Security and Medicare. We've been out there, the speaker's been out there for days, if not longer, on that is absolutely not on the table during these debt ceiling discussions. We've made that position clear, and yet during the State of the Union, the president chose to profess that lie again, and it was quite disappointing.
Was it a mistake for Senator Rick Scott to make that proposal as he did last year because it gave Biden that opening to use it last night?
I think every member, right or left, is entitled to make their proposals, and then it's up to that member afterwards to get a consensus of his or her conference and maybe even across the aisle. Some of these proposals that come down the way don't get a lot of support, and that's one of those ones that did not get much support, and it shouldn't be any sort of measuring stick for the other party to criticize us on.
One thing, McCarthy has said they are off the table. He came outside the White House and said Social Security, Medicare are not going to be tied to these negotiations. I think some people have rightfully raised the question of, is that something that he can stand by, given, of course, he has to deal with your entire conference and please a lot of the members. We saw the speakers fight when you're confident that that is going to be the line in the sand. They will not touch those.
I know there's not 218 votes for that. I'm not sure if there's 2 or 3 votes for that drastic, draconian change.
Last night, the president was calling for work on immigration, for police reform work. Is that something that you think Republicans can work with Democrats on to actually get done?
Well, we heard from the president one decent thing. He said he was committed to putting more technology on the border. I think that those words meant something to a lot of the Republican conference who campaigned on securing our border. We would welcome that. I think there's also needs to be discussion on physical barriers and process and ensuring the secretary promotes an environment to ensure that the CBP and others can ensure that we enforce those laws. But it's a small step in the right direction.
On the heckling overall and the back and forth, not just on the Social Security and Medicare, because it happened other times when it came to China with Marjorie Taylor Greene, when the president was talking about fentanyl and had a father in his guest box who lost his daughter to it. There was heckling from the members, one blaming him for the fentanyl crisis, Marjorie Taylor Greene on China. Is it appropriate for members of Congress to heckle the president?
So I think that we need to get to a place where we have proper decorum, a place where we can actually disagree on ideas and not just shout back and forth at each other. I hope that's the future in this town. I know there's a strong portion from this side of the aisle who wants to get to that place. I don't think those 1 or 2 incidents necessarily reflect the future of where we're going.
Did you do any heckling?
I did. I was upset when the president lied about his statement on Social Security and Medicare.
What did you say?
And I was vocal about that. I booed the president during that time. Come from New York, we call it the Bronx cheer. When we see something that we don't like, and certainly something that somebody was lying to us in our own house, we're going to give some feedback then. And I hope the next State of the Union, the president's more truthful on those key issues.
So when you have that line of decorum, you're saying basically that you can be vocal and loud when you disagree with what he's saying.
Well, it's unfortunate the president would choose to engage in that rhetoric. And I think I don't know why he did it, but I think he was right to expect a reaction. Maybe he even did it for that reaction. I hope that's not our future, and the president needs to be truthful at key moments like this.
Yeah, well, at the end, he had that moment where he got Republicans saying, you know, when he said, yeah, we all agree, no touching Social Security and Medicare. Is that advantageous for him, though, or for Republicans? It seemed advantageous for him, according to the White House.
What's most important is it's as advantageous for the country, especially seniors.
Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. I know you and your wife attended last night. Appreciate your perspective this morning on George Santos and all of this.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.